Hi friends from Las Perlas TV, this is Julian Carvajal, and today I'm here with the producer and director of The Engineer, a Salvadoran film that is coming to this Hotdocs 2014. Stay with us.
Para mí los muertos son mi compañía, son mi diario vivir, son mis amigos, son los que me necesitan.
Hi friends from Las Perlas del Mar. Today I'm here with Matthew and with Juan. They are the producers, the directors, editors as Las Perlas TV of this amazing film called The Engineer. Thank you for being here at Las Perlas TV today with us. And I have a question for you. When I was looking at the trailer, it's a very emotional film. So how did you come up with this idea to create this amazing film? Who wants to?
Well, we've both been very interested in the gang conflict. I'm from Guatemala, so I kind of grew up with it. My best friend in high school actually belonged to a gang back in the 90s, although the gangs were a lot different back then. And Matt worked in Guatemala for 6 months and has always been very keen on doing something about the subject. And we had seen several films about going inside the gangs, and so we wanted a new take on it. And we found Israel, who is the only criminologist in El Salvador. His job basically consists of exhuming people that have been murdered and buried in clandestine cemeteries. And we thought he was a great character to explain the conflict through his work.
Okay, so Matthew, for you, how was it to go to Latin America, especially like Central America, and find out about all of this that is happening there? What was the impact that caused on you?
Well, I love Latin America. I love Central America. As Juan said, I've spent a lot of time in Guatemala, and it was something we wanted to do. We went, and the hardest thing was dealing with the suffering. We met a lot of families, a lot of mothers searching for their missing children, and for me that was the hardest thing to deal with. To deal with that level of emotion and that level of grief was very difficult.
When I was doing a documentary, I remember the hardest part is like to let it go. Sometimes you have to spend so much time doing a scene or like recording somebody or doing an interview, and then you just have to let it go because there is so much happening, and I'm pretty sure like the same happened to you. Like there is so much happening and there is so much information that you would like to share with the others that you're unable to. So what you couldn't like put on the film but you actually would like people to know about?
Well, because of that happened to us. We had so many characters when we were editing the film, but they were more than characters. We became so close to these people. They became our friends, and we're still in touch with most of them. And that's why we decided to do a web version of the film. So there's a web version of the film and there's an iPad app version of the film, because we didn't want to leave anybody out. So actually everybody we spoke to, well, the majority of people we spoke to are included in either the film or the interactive version.
Plus, I mean, the conflict is so complex and so big, and we could only get so much in to one film. Like, for example, the fact that most of these kids are murderers. The gangs who are the main cause of murders in the country are children. 12, 15, they start when they are 11. And this was something that was very important for us to put in. Well, that's one of the main parts of the web doc, interviews with several children that have a large number of murders on their hands, and they kind of explain their past and that type of stuff.
So I was looking at the credits and I saw has a executive producer Julian Assange. Is that Julian Assange, like the WikiLeaks? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I would like to know how did he got part into like this project? How did he?
Well, I've known him for a while. He's a good friend. And when we first started making the film, we went to El Salvador with absolutely no money. I actually was getting married in Guatemala, and that was the excuse. So I got married, I went to the honeymoon, and the day after we were to El Salvador to meet Israel Ticas. And we wanted to do a half an hour thing, or 22 minutes for television. But when we saw the story, we knew that we had to do something bigger. So when I got back, we started editing a little trailer. I was working with Julian on his television show, and I showed him the little trailer, and he thought it was a very important issue, and he said, he'd back it up. So it was, very organic. I showed him the clip, and he said, yes, I think this is important. I want to help.
So, and Matthew, the main message. What do you want us as audience to know about the film? Like, what is so important for us to know, or what we can do after watching the film?
It's basically, we want people to know that this happens, that this level of violence happens. And one of the most dangerous things, I think, having spent time in El Salvador, is that there's almost an indifference from many parts of society in El Salvador that this level of violence is almost normal. And the message is that violence is not normal, and there needs to be more discussion about what causes this violence, and more challenges to the predominant discourse which comes from the government, which is this is a security issue, and we see this as a social issue. This is poverty among other stuff, but the debate needs to be richer.
Well, friends from Las Perlas del Mar, thank you so much. Matthew, thank you so much, Juan, for being here. Actually, he's from Guatemala, as he was saying, so we have a paisano here in Las Perlas del Mar. Thank you for being here. Stay in tune with Las Perlas TV. Cheers.
Hola amigos de Las Perlas TV, yo soy Juan.
And I'm Matt. Please come along to our film The Engineer on Thursday night at 6 at the Scotiabank Theatre, on Friday at 3 at the Bell Lighthouse, and again on Saturday at 3:30 at the Lightbox.
Los esperamos. Muchas gracias.